Well, folks, welcome to today's Kenilworth preview, the Saturday 20th of August race meeting on the winter course down at Kenilworth. Now, let me bring you up to date with where we're at with our recording. I'm currently in KwaZulu-Natal in Durban, having had the global team horse racing event at Gravel on Friday night. So we're doing this through the night. I won't tell you exactly at the early hours of the morning, but we might be disturbed by one or two people, raucous celebrations coming up the passageway shortly, but hopefully that won't bother us. And we're going to have a look at the Kenilworth race meeting, try and get it out early. Last week, of course, we were rushed from the airport, so I thought I'd do it through the night, as it were, and bring you up to date with the races as I see them. Well, the first race is a Work Riders Maiden Plate. I'm not going to get overly involved there with the bipod. And the second race looks fairly open as well, with a lot of first timers and unexposed form. So I would keep an eye on the betting in the second race, particularly with number 4 Gold Poker Game, number 5 Hunting Trip. Both of those are Drakenstein horses, and there's a horse there, number 8 Rafif's Choice. But I'm not going to get involved in the place accumulators. When you see a little bit later on our play with tab, our take a bet with tab initiative will be the later jackpots on the Kenilworth program. Hence the fact that I'm starting with the third race on the program, which again is not straightforward. It's the maiden plate, but we thought we'd have a look at this because I do fancy a little bit of a runner in this race from a value perspective. But let's have a look at the betting. So this is race 3, where number 6 Doubling Up is the favorite. Opened up 15 to 10, is now shortened into 14 to 10 for Justin Snaith and Keegan DeMelo. Lovely pedigree. He's the son of Twice Over, but he's out of Reba, that German mare, the daughter of Atenango. And one can't help get away from the fact that he did start his debut at 10 to 1 and probably ran above expectations, as you might hear some screaming up the passageway coming now, as predicted. But number 6, Doubling Up, for me, has clearly a chance to be competitive in the race, but he's drawn 9, and he might just be outpaced by some others in the race. So I'm going to look to beat him out of first place anyway, number 6, Doubling Up, and look elsewhere. Number 2, Teatro, is relatively well tried. He's the son of Camford Cliffs. We all know about how many 2-year-old winners Camford Cliffs has had. Teatro is newly turned 3. I like the fact that he ran around the turn the last couple of starts and was poorly drawn on both occasions. He drops back now up the Kenilworth 6 furlong straight, drawn for Louis Nkotwe keeps the ride. And I think that number 2, Teatro, will be competitive at 28 to 10 in the market. But on a line through Teatro, you've got to have a look at number 5 in the race, Contiguous, who is also well drawn 2. Now, when he made his debut behind To the Moon and Back, it was against Teatro, and he actually beat him on debut around the turn at Kenilworth when he had a worse draw. So if you fancy number 2, Teatro, number 5, Contiguous, will not be far behind. And if he doesn't need the run, having had a 73-day break, I think that he could be effective back up the straight. Well, he hasn't gone up the straight yet. He's had 2 races around the turn. So if you are taking PAs and bipods earlier on, don't leave number 5, Contiguous, out. 3 Bullet is an interesting horse. Smug Marlowe takes over the reins. Of course, Greg Sheen has gone to greener pastures. This is the son of Quarari. He's drawn 8. He's shown some ability in his start, so I think he'll be on the premises. And then beyond that, well, you're looking at horses 16 to 1 and better bar. So in this third race, for me, in order of preference, well, certainly in order of value, I'm going for number 5, Contiguous, number 2, Teatro, and then the favourite 6, Doubling Up, and 3, Bullet. So that's how I see the third race on the program. Let's move on to race 4, and here we've got a very short price favourite in the form of number 4, Future Turn, Justin Snaith and Keegan DeMelo. Future Turn is one of a couple of horses in this race where Greg Bortz has an involvement. He also owns number 5, Holy Orders, but you can see from the betting that certainly number 4, Future Turn, is the stable elect, and quite rightly so. I think he'll be the horse to beat. Whether he's value at 5 to 10 is another point of view, because he might be vulnerable to the older horses, number 1, Masterful Guy, and number 2, Norsan. The problem with the latter is that he is rather expensive to follow. We've been for him a couple of times. He is well drawn here at 1, but this already is his 8th start, whereas number 1, Masterful Guy, is having his 16th start. So they are pretty well exposed, which is why I'm going to stick with the favourite and go for number 4, Future Turn, to win the race. Just a shout out to the money horse here, number 6, Alain Maurice, or Maurice, whichever you prefer. He's a son of Dynasty. Louis and Cotwa rides and drawn nicely at 3. And he definitely, with his pedigree, could be an improver. So for me, first choice, number 4, Future Turn. And after that, any of 1, 2, and 6 to fill up the trifecta spots. Let's move on to race 5. This is a maiden special weights race, so you need to spend a bit more time having a look at this. I like 2 horses here from a value perspective. Number 6, Quasimodo. Let's start with him. He's at 7-1 in the betting, and Quasimodo has only got to carry 54 kilograms. So if you have a look and just weigh up your options, he's getting 1.5 kilograms from the filly Fluid Motion. He's getting as much as 4.5 kilograms from Global Movement, who is 4-1 in the betting, and he's getting as much as 6 kilograms from number 1, Double Duet, and number 2, Global Forest. So I think that number 6, Quasimodo, is going to be pretty competitive, carrying just 54 kilograms on his back. Another horse that I think will also benefit from just carrying 54 kilograms is number 5, Nothing Else Matters. His penultimate start I would ignore completely. He choked up and the vet didn't discover anything, but it's obviously not his form. And he improved last time to finish close up on the heels of Twice the Master. So JP van der Merwe rides again, and he certainly must have a chance with only 54 kilograms on his back. So for me, the value in the race is with the 6 and the 5. Clearly, number 2, Global Forest, and number 1, Double Duet are carrying 60 kilograms because they have shown some ability. But between them, they have had 21 starts. So they are still maidens. Can they give that kind of weight to the likes of 5, Nothing Else Matters, and 6, Quasimodo? Only the race will tell us. I think you must respect number 3, Global Movement. Grant Bear rides, not particularly well drawn at 7, but not without a chance. And then just one other one, which is going to have to go a little bit further down. It's the rank outsider, number 7, Bella Mo. She is a filly, admittedly, but she's only got 52 kilograms on her back. The last 2 starts, she's been poorly drawn. They were both around the turn. She's drawn okay here at 4, and the blinkers go on. I should say the blinkers come off, so there might be some improvement to come from the outsider of the party, number 7, Bella Mo. That's my take on race 5. As I say, perhaps a little bit more open than the betting suggests, with me liking the value on 6, 5, and 7. Let us move on to race 6 now, and take you to a race where I'm going to side with the 3-year-olds, 7 and 5 in that order. Dance Variety caught my eye as an individual last time. I didn't actually fancy his chances in the race, but when he went down to the start, I thought he was a super impressive looking son of Var, and he ran accordingly. He was closing hand over fist with a terrific finishing burst. Keegan DeMello takes over. He's carrying only 56 kilograms, and he is going to be my horse to beat, number 7, Dance Variety. The danger might be the other 3-year-old, number 5, Royal Aussie, who won and beat Pardenom quite nicely from a poor draw around the turn last time. That was pretty impressive, and he could continue to impress here, number 5, Royal Aussie. Of the older horses, well, number 3, Path of Choice, seldom runs a bad race. He's pretty consistent. He'll benefit from a 1 draw and Samunga Kamalo riding him here. So I wouldn't leave him out of calculations. Number 3, Path of Choice. Number 4, Fair Advantage, and number 1, Gaudi's Masterpiece. There's not much between them. And if the 3-year-olds are to fluff their lines, then they certainly could be there to pick up the pieces. But for me, I'm going for 7, Dance Variety, and 5, Royal Aussie in that race. Let's move on to race 7 and the penultimate race. This is the first time I'm looking at the betting. I'm surprised in some respect to see Ragnar Lothbrok as favourite here. Not that he's got no chance. In fact, he's a horse that's treated me rather well, because at his penultimate start I labelled him, and he absolutely trotted up with an excellent turn of foot. Last time, the 7 furlongs, I didn't like him, so the drop back here to the sprint I think will be in his favour, but he's dropping back to 1,000 metres when he won was over 1,100, and he does have 57.5 kilograms to shoulder, so I'm going to look for something perhaps a bit longer odds in the betting and better weighted. The second horse in the betting, number 3, Kimball O'Hara, could be anything. Beautiful pedigree. He's a give me the green light out of a Fort Wood mare, but the drop back to 1,000 could be a negative for him. Although he does have Keegan de Mello riding him, and he was super impressive when he won his maiden. But as I say, that was over 6 furlongs. He drops back to 1,000. So again, not saying he doesn't have an each-way chance, but I'm going to look elsewhere for the value. 5 on the road again. On the handicap has a lot in his favour, including the booking of Smanga Kamalo. The draw is not that great. He's going to be drawn 11. Which is perhaps a negative for him, but I think he will be on the premises. 8, Magnetic Diamond, 11, Gollum's Delight. These two ran in the same race last time. It was a real shock result, not for Andre Nelsjard, because he got them both on the board here, but they are fillies and mares, well, they're mares taking on colts here, so not without a chance, but again, I'm going to look elsewhere. Well, by now you're saying, well, Neil, when are you going to tip us something of each way value? Well, I'm coming to it. So hold your horses. Here we go. Is it number 7, La Vida? Well, La Vida must have a chance. She's a filly, though, taking on the colts. Interestingly, she took a while to win her maiden at her 7th start, but she hasn't been punished, and she stayed a 71. She's also daughter of Dynasty, and she does have that one win in wet conditions, and if it is wet, as I'm told it's going to be at Kenilworth tomorrow, she could upset again, so I wouldn't ignore the chances completely of number 7, La Vida. All right, now we're getting to some roughies. Number 1, Skidoo, is not without an upset chance, drawn nicely at 2. Craig Bantam's ridden him once, and he ran second on him. He is a horse that's won 4 times over this course and distance and 4 seconds. So if you have a look, he's now dropped down to an 81. When he last was competitive, running second to Mr. Cobbs and third to Barney McGrew, etc., he was an 89. So he's 8 points lower than when he was competitive on some of that form. And as a result, I think he's got an upset chance here as number 1, Skidoo. He's been campaigning in merit-rated 96s and 95s, and at once upon a time, a merit-rated 105. This is an 80. So he has the class on his day to pop up, does number 1, Skidoo, at long odds. But my roughie in the race is going to be further down. It's number 12, Wordsworth. I like Wordsworth on a number of form lines. So if you have an opportunity, and I'll quickly give them to you, if you have a look with Wordsworth, he's got Baltimore Jack beaten, or just beaten anyway, on the 21st of June. But earlier on in his Kenilworth run on the 29th of December, he should have Bonanza beaten comfortably, and once again, Baltimore Jack. I do like the fact that JP van der Merwe rides. JP's only had the 2 starts riding for the yard of Greg Enion, and he's finished in the quartet on both of those, running 3rd and 4th. But I think he might go at least 1 or 2 places better here. So JP van der Merwe, a good booking, and nicely drawn at 4 for a horse that really has tumbled down the merit rating. So he would be my surprise package, or one of my surprise packages in the race, number 12, Wordsworth, who is 19 merit rated points below his highest rating. So this race, I'm going to look for a bit of a surprise. The betting suggests it's open, and I think that is going to be the case. So a couple of roughies there I'm contemplating working into my trifectas, etc. Even a horse like number 2, Bonanza, who's bottom of the boards, probably doesn't deserve to be 22 to 1. Bonanza is very capable on his day, and the tongue tie goes on. and he's drawn 1. So an open race, I believe, race 7, probably the most open race on the program. And last but by no means least, let's get into race 8, which will complete racing at Kenilworth tomorrow. And the betting for this race looks like this, with an odds-on favourite, number 4, Gimme Lassie. Gimmy's Lassie. She's a daughter of Gimme, the green light out of Scandola, who was pretty quick. I think that Jeff Woodruff trained that. It was owned by Dirk Brookman, if my memory serves me correctly. But this is a lovely individual, beautifully bred, races for Kaya Stables, and frankly looks ready to win. So that's about the right price. But interesting money for number 6, Majestic Queen. Now, this is a first-timer. She is a daughter of Kurari out of a Diwali mare, so there's some stamina on the mother's side, but clearly she's showing some good work at home, because she's been back from 10 to 1 to 5 to 1. And being a daughter of Kurari, I think you have to respect the money for number 6, Majestic Queen. So just see if there's a follow-through for that on race day. But the early glance is number 4, Gimmy's Lassie, is clearly the horse to beat. Are there any improvers in the race? Well, number 8, Ola Bombshell, was okay on debut, and last time was sort of one pace behind Creme Brulee, but she's bred to improve. She, however, has not been popular in the market, from 7 to 1 to double the odds, 14 to 1, so one can assume that perhaps she's not ready or fancied. And the rest of the horses behind them look pretty thin. So I'm going to stick with number 4, Gimmy's Lassie, a pretty confident first choice, with the only danger likely to be the money horse, number 6, Majestic Queen. Well, that's our take on Kenilworth racing tomorrow. It is now very early in the hours of Saturday morning. There might be a couple of scratchings coming through. So check those, check if there's any jockey changes. But that's our take on the Kenilworth racing on Saturday, the 20th of August.